Today is a very historical day. Today is a day that I've longed for, and I'm happy to be a part of this historical moment. I'm here sitting with a gentleman who is now known worldwide as Frank Gordon, with the order of distinction that is. Frank Gordon goes all the way back to the year 1922 on the 22nd of March when he was born in Love Lane, right beside War Theatre in Kingston. The first time he heard about this great man, the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, was because Love Lane is just as close to Liberty Yard, just a few steps away. And I guess that's where the sounding of Marcus Garvey came through to Mr. Gordon. I'm here first to my right, we have the Honorable Racy Matthews, President of the UNIA, of course, and we have the legendary Frank Gordon, Order of Distinction, and of course myself, Kingston. Now I'm going to talk to Racy Matthews first. Mr. Matthews, what are some of your fondest moments? When was the first time you came in contact with Frank Gordon, the legend?
Well, Frank Gordon is a very historical person in Jamaica. And we know that Frank Gordon is the Garveyite, the consummate Garveyite. And when I met Mr. Gordon down at the shrine of Marcus Garvey, he immediately became my teacher. And he would pass on as much information about Mr. Garvey and urged us never to give up the struggle, because half of the battle was won when we had emancipation of taking off the chains. But we now had to emancipate our minds. And this is what Mr. Gordon advocated, because Mr. Garvey is the one who had given Bob Marley, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mouth.
And those words that you know is
Mortal.
was coined by the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Now, you mentioned, Mr. Matthews, that we used to celebrate Emancipation Day. And since we got independence in 1962, they sort of dropped that from the celebration and started to celebrate independence, which is 1962 on. And you told me prior to this that Frank Gordon was instrumental in making sure that we get back to celebrating the emancipation of our forefathers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, all the old Garveyites who had championed the cause of the true liberation of the African people, the Afro-Caribbean people, as he would fondly call us. He said we were not Negroes, we were Afro-Caribbean people. And he was showing us that independence is not as important as emancipation. And we should always advocate to bring back Emancipation Day as a holiday in recognition of the great victory of the African people over the period known as the slave trading period. So Mr. Frank Gordon OD, at the front of it all, was always the one who would urge us as the younger generation that when he is weary, he wants to know that there's enough of us with the fuel and fire to keep the work going. So we are students of the great Frank Gordon, and we have kept the fire burning.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, it's about time we meet now the man of the moment, the man that you have heard so much about. Some of you have read him in your history book because he's part of our historical regime. Mr. Frank Gordon, how are you, sir?
Thank God for life, sir.
I see you still holding stronger than ever.
Oh, yes, thank God, because then you have the spirit of God is still alive.
A while ago, we wanted to talk to Frank, right? And Frank was inside eating. And, you know, he's not feeling a little well right now in terms of his physical condition where he could just jump up and walk. And we tried to assist him. And Frank said, no, we're not going to have none of that. You know, he didn't say that in so many words, but he says, with the spirit of Garvey flowing through my brain and my mind and my heart and my soul, I can get up and walk. And that he did. We didn't assist Mr. Gordon to sit here. He did so from inside the bedroom all the way out here. Tell us something about Love Lane and Liberty Hall.
Well, the Liberty Hall was the Kingston Division property. Don't tell you, the Kingston Division at the property known as 67.
I showed.
76.
76
No.
Street.
No, as I'll tell you, the Liberty Yard property is
76.
74 King Street, because it's run from the seat up on that left-hand side. Look, I mean, the property below that, we was driving South in, and about that, and then the 74 is the Liberty Yard property.
Okay.
But it's all the property that run from street to lane, you know.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like then as a young boy? And I know you must have heard the powerful voice of Garvey coming from Liberty Hall.
You know, your Garvey voice, because Garvey was away.
Oh, he was away at that time?
Yes, he was away because he traveled abroad, Costa Rica, Panama, and the various places, looking at the condition of black people. In Costa Rica right now, today in Costa Rica, there's a large division, property owned by the UNIA in Costa Rica, because the black and the colored people don't mix together. But the spirit of Garvey is still strong in Latin America. I went to Havana one time, and still Garvey was still strong, part in Havana. Because my grandmother died in Cuba. And so we had from the down there, how about killing. Because I don't tell you the Russian told what to work, what the father want to work. And they got to look for living.
Okay.
And so the struggle continued for black people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should remember that when the Spanish came to Jamaica, they were part of the black people, the divisional strength. Because out of that division, even the Roman Catholic St. Benedict the Moor Church of Ottawa here, it's a Roman Catholic. I heard a teacher one day was speaking. I said, this teacher know more about St. Benedict the Moor than we know about the black saint. That was not at the particular time. Because they were in the field of education. And the Roman history is different from the British. The British won't tell you about St. Benedict the Moor. The white man's slave master, the Nelson and the robbers and the robber bandits. But the Roman Catholic teach the people the problem of St. Benedict the Moor and African martyrs.
So let me ask you now, how was Marcus Garvey's philosophies and ideas accepted back then as a young child? I know a lot of people gravitated towards it, but did he get fights like from the hierarchy in terms of...
There was the orders of international hypocrites. You fight against your authority.
International hypocrites.
To understand your ground and keep your standard very, very high. And so when you read it history, you don't read it only through the Englishman's eyes, but you're looking for real history that can take you back. Like in the case of the people in Manchester, who got spent a year loyalty to them, and right today you're one of the biggest Garvey shrines in Jamaica.
Manchester?
Yes, South Manchester.
South Manchester.
No, nothing here, medicine. Garvey spent a long time further when he was selling the Black Star Line. David people down there close the internet at kill of a tremendous building in Manchester. So Garvey tried to send the Adventist one was there to be said, no way, Rog is nobody. It belongs to Marcus Garvey because it's loyalty to the people there. Respect to honor and glorify their gods.
The name of that district is Resource.
Is that the name of the district?
Yeah.
So that's where the statue of Marcus Garvey stands today.
Yes, in my...
Is it a complete statue or a bust of him?
A bus.
Or a bust?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he spent a lot of time there because he was grateful for the support the Black Star Line get.
From the people of Manchester. See, there's a lot of history that we Jamaicans have never heard before. And that is why we're doing this interview, because Mr. Garden is armed with certain information that the rest of the world need to hear this for, what you call it?
Posterity.
For posterity.
From worry.
All right, so when you actually became active now, involved with the Garvey movements, what were your intention then?
Intention is that 1934, Amanda Sicilian Plant was born in Grand Banal in St. Catherine, St. Thomas, North, in
St. Mary. Upper St. Andrew.
Upper St. Andrew, when they go through Stony Hill and head on the Templar.
it's and it's new.
Yes.
Yes, right there, and he got in trouble for the much experimenting when he come to town, and so he was arrested, and another boy who was in him, but the same was trying to send and giving the enemy messages, but he got off, and then he was able to recruit him into the military. Because of the war, it was the 1914-18 war. And so he worked well and he eventually landed store over to the United States. And he was able to, when he arrived there, just in time when Marcus Garvey was just unleashing powerhouse.
Unleashing his powerhouse
of knowledge.
of knowledge. I spoke to you, Mr. Garvey, just a while ago before we actually came on camera. And I asked you, I said, how did Mr. Garvey manage to amass such a gigantic following? And you said one word to me, and it hits me. You said telepathy.
Yes.
And that is the scientific knowledge. And that is the scientific approach of a right honorable Marxist like that. Because he was the one who was teaching us that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And with the mind, whatever the mind thinks, you can bring it into life. You can bring it into being. And I know that with such power and such knowledge, there ain't nothing that Mr. Garvey could not have done back in those days.
You see, in those days when Garvey started his movement, he went into South Africa before the Russian colony his parliament to South Africa. He was able to mobilize the scripture of that time. Was shaped with the man of the sea. He got the message, telepathy to the drums. But we're talking drums at the time. And that was carrying the wisdom and the knowledge and the power of the sort of thought.
How do you feel about some Jamaicans who are not grateful? Because we are grateful for the teaching of the right to know the mark right that way. I can speak that for race because when I met Mr. Matthews many years ago, maybe 19, 20 years ago, Marcus Garvey was on the forefront of his mind. And here we are today, December 21st, a day that they say the world should come to an end, still talking about the right honorable Marcus Garvey, and Mr. Racy Matthews is here with us, Mr. Frank God, reminiscing about such a great man.
What is needed is some amount of unity. There are those who use politics to divide and rule. Because I have been in the United, not as a permanent member. I've been taken over from the fund. The overwork himself, starve himself, then he died of malnutrition. But the thing is that I continue until the organization was captured by upstart who believe that them can read the book. It's hard. but they have no creative mind. God's Garveyism is one of creation of mind and conscious. Give that up a oneness.
Mr. Gordon, you use the word take before God.
Yes.
Why you use such a phraseology?
It's because I was struck out of the organization by the power that those who have the power and intellectual honesty of the right give me a word jacket and struck onto the organization. So I just move out, give them weight, and for the last 5 years, no presentation of documentation, because what money I got out of the organization remain in it. Julius Garvey sent me, yes, $500 when Deacon dead, and it was in the bank. I did not draw a penny from this person use. I don't take organization money. I put in. I got chairs from Food for the Poor. I got things for the organization. I tried to build a structure in place. But again, the power that they have the power and the glory.
You know, as you mentioned that, though, Mr. Gordon and Mr. Matthew sitting here, I think we need to revamp that organization under the umbrella of the UNIA that you started, that chapter here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I name it after you, the Frank Gordon chapter of the UNIA, because...
No, not personalization.
Mm-hmm.
The UNIA is the UNIA.
No, the UNIA is the umbrella.
It's our division.
Right.
With other division head, and the division should retain itself and not impose upon somebody, spurious or otherwise.
I appreciate what you
Because you can, never want a person and so.
Okay, in other words, what I was trying to say was the fact that Mr. Gordon spent so much years of his life dedicated to a cause that means so much to him. And that cause, is that flame still burning here?
No,
It's burning within you, but is it still ignited in the community?
It's black people business,
Let me add this. The UNIA has a mandate in which when an ancestor has passed on, a division is named in the honor of that ancestor.
Oh, okay.
So in Jamaica, we have the Paul Bogle Memorial Division.
Okay.
And we have the Marcus Garvey Memorial Division.
Okay, that's
Right.
Yes.
So it is only after
The person
has passed on that the honor is bestowed
upon that
person.
So I'm gonna jump in the
Naming a division
After
in such honor.
I understand. Okay. Point very taken. So Mr. Gordon, so what do you say to the younger generation though? People, most of our young boys are not doing well in school. Mr. Mugabe, the president of Zimbabwe, is saying that the women are doing well, but the youngsters are not doing so well.
We can't allow innocent of Mugabe to condemn the effort that was made, because then what the leadership between Jamaica, Cuba, and all those that formed the non-aligned movement and the artists who contribute to the liberation of Southern Africa is more than money can buy. And so it is wise to let common sense rule us. A lot of things to be done. We're going to be slow, but we got to keep the spirit of Marcus Garvey. And the non-aligned movement is vitally enough to understand history of its contribution to world stability.
Mr. Gordon, Mr. Garvey, one of his foundation principles was self-reliance. And I remember in days gone by, when we needed a UNIA flag, you're the only person who was manufacturing UNIA flags. Other than that, you buy one that was made in China. So we need to get back to that core of self-reliance, doing for ourselves and don't allow other people or other nations to do for us.
What we wanted was to get a firm, black people, they get the round stick and not the square stick on the flag for the children. Because if the white children can have a nice, smooth, round stick, why can't our workmen, the artists, the man who do the mitre board, and things like that, do something like that? What I've been doing over the last 3 years, I've been working on a scheme to bring African fundamentalism that Garvey for 1920s onto the market. But I'm looking for the words, and I'm looking for people and just raising your name come from look on what's good in. They all can get the correct words together. Not there must be no variation from the original thinking of Marcus Garvey. So that we can ask a firm to sponsor us about 50,000 or 100,000 of the African fundamentalism that can be sold. And those who can buy it, we can get school children to have it in a small little booklet. Keep the history of self-reliance raised.
Well, with the Minister of Education announcing that Garvey's philosophy must be taught in school, African fundamentalism should be the precursor to it all.
Exactly.
Because the rallying cry was African fundamentalism.
Right, so we have got to see, because it said that the African must be as great as the Church of Rome. It's have to develop.
The African must be as great as the Church of
Rome, because the most powerful religious denomination in the world is the Church of Rome. Yeah. And so the African to the fundamentalism, to the black youth, should be the basic structure of enough faith, hope, and charity in himself, ourselves, to empower.
Jamaican, whoever gets an opportunity to view this video, this particular interview that we're having with the Honorable Racing Matches, of course, Mr. Frank Garden, OD, should really cherish this moment, because here we have a man that have lived for over 91 years, who have spent 99% of his life, other than when he just got out of his mother's womb, but 99% of his life carrying on the beliefs and the philosophies and the opinion of our leader, our saint. We should take a note, a page out of Mr. Frank Garden's book. So this is the year 2012, we're moving on into the year 2013. What are your plans for the new year coming up?
Well, the year is to see that history of yesterday year, because there was a time when, in colonial time, a black woman, when she worked in the government service, she couldn't marry and keep the job. Black woman who married could not be a postmistress. She had to stay single. So that the vultures that were come into the colony, that they prey on the woman because she would have a man as a husband. It was a man like Kenneth George Hill, the 4-H's, Ken Hill, Frank Hill, Arthur Andrew, Richard Hart, forming independent trade unions, allow black women to be able to marry. And Europe and Afghan structure.
Wow.
This is old dynamism of the survival of the black woman. And so, if I'm alive next year, I would love to start a campaign. I mentioned it to Jean Barnes when she was here today, that we shall have a body of people looking for Thanksgiving service about Peter and Paul, because that is a parish that can be thankful, and to see if we can have 10:30 one Sunday morning to have a service of Thanksgiving to their life and to those women who went through the drowning on the fundamentalism to build the integrity of the black woman who have contributed to build a nation after me.
Boy, you're so powerful, Mr. Frank Garden sounds, man. I can hear Marcus Garvey coming through his vein, his mouth, his lips, his speech, his words, everything is Mr. Garvey to the maximum. Mr. Macho, what do you have to say about the feistiness there, the amount of vigor and strength that he still pushes out? What are your thoughts?
That is the essence of Mr. Garvey's philosophy run through your vein, and the rallying cry of Mr. Garvey, up you mighty race, youth, and accomplish what you will. And this is the essence that Frank is still echoing at 91 years. And he's looking forward to it next year when he wants more to be accomplished.
Exactly.
No, it is all that at the corner of Charles Street and Chancellery Lane.
Yes.
That is where the UNA was founded.
Before it actually went to Liberty.
Yes.
The following garden at that there was at that corner on the northern side of the land was the Chancellery for the old church. Old church in those days was Spanish. And so if you look at those buildings, some people were still there on the island, that those are where the priests would live. And so they were there to keep the community alive. And Garvey started with the start principles at the corner of Harrow Street. And he started the Universal Welfare Association there. And so we want to do something that we can have some flag, some meetings, and some rallying point that we can give up to the new convert.
As you mentioned that, you know what struck me? That Mr. Garvey started it, and his first secretary was Amy Ashwood, who became his first wife, Amy Ashwood Garvey. She's the one that helped him to set up the organization on Charles Street. Now, what I am looking forward to is 2014, the year after next, when it becomes the centenary year of the founding of the UNIA. 100 years of the founding of the UNIA. And we know that you will be around
with us to celebrate that.
And as you mentioned, Charles Street, we are going to petition the National Heritage Trust to make that site a national heritage site. Yes, that is weird.
Charles Street and Chancery Lane. What number Charles Street was it?
Not the number, just a corner.
Just a corner.
The block King Street, Charles Street, Orange Street.
So it was on the street, it was in a yard, it was just that area.
No, a yard over there, there's a French road there, you know. Star French Street.
Mr. Garvey actually worked at that French.
Yes, well, from there, because then the man up on Tenson, and started from St. Anne, cut the toll, and went to government French office. So he was involved all his life, when he gets a free evening, and come down to his sons. He come down to Sun Street, and you see there's another printing friend. Stop them, take out jackets and blazer and take up. They're out this involvement. And so we want to set the stage early that we start to look at the UNIA, not as Negro, but as Afro-Caribbean people. Seeing itself as a new development trust, instead of what people say, you can't change the Negro, the word Negro. Why? We must have the spirit of dynamism to give up their imagination of the black people all over the world. No other part of the China man call them cheap. Or you ask the Indian man, am I cool? You can't. You say that the man is an Indian and just Chinese.
Yeah, because in my research, it has been known that Mr. Garvey didn't really use the word Negro that much. He used the word African.
African Caribbean.
If you notice the full name of the organization, the UNIA and ACL,
And the African Community.
Universal Negro Improvement Association,
And African Civil.
and the African Community League.
Right.
So he made a distinction that you had the Negro who need to be improved,
Okay, he did.
and then you have the African Communities League.
Okay.
spirit of understanding
Yes.
and sharing.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we're in Arborview, 49 Southern Cross Drive, the resident of Mr. Frank Garden, out of distinction. And this is we cruise out on a normally on a Friday evening, having fun. I'm here with racing matches as well. The lighting is getting a little bit bad, so we want to wrap this up for part one of this historical interview. But in leaving though, what are your final words, Mr. Matthews, before we get to Mr. Garden to close up?
Well, one of
In taking the movements forward for the year to
one of my sad moments is when stalwarts like Frank Garden has been forgotten by the establishment. Frank should be having teaching classes where he's teaching the youth in China and in India. This is what is happening. All this wealth of information does not sit and go away.
Yes, and goes to waste.
It is passed on to the next generations to come, to inspire them and to lead them. And I think our country, having bestowed upon him the honor of OD, should really see to it that the tradition, that all that wealth of knowledge that he carried goes on to the next generation.
Very well said. Mr. Garden, it is no use saying. What are your thoughts now going into the year 2013?
So the year 2013 is a continuum of the old question of deliverance. To give hope to the hopeless and goodwill to the generation that come, the next generation. Because without life there's hope, and without hope there is doubt. We must love one another, share the thought. Did I see Brother McPay come through the gate?
Me.
McPay, is there?
Yes, Godfather.
Or just, this is my brother, I learned from his generation, the earlier period of, I learned some songs and some hope for Jamaica. Small is an island from Jamaica, but hard is a nation. And to leave the world as tomorrow, we shall play and over, but may thy child go before us, pointing the upward way. Sons of Jamaica must with courage onward from day to
Jesus. Well, you brought here, I'm telling you,
Read that patriotic.
that was some
Patriotism.
That song was sing well. What was the occasions that particular song?
I saw it from 1930, after the 1930s.
It is the anthem for the United, is it? No, they don't know. What is that song?
No, once about it.
Tell me where that song comes from.
In the struggle for independence, for self-government, there was a man named Walter A. McBean.
Okay.
He had them is a poet in those days. And he put them out and give it to the People's National Party to be able to use as a patriotic song.
So,
Workers of Jamaica, lift your voices strong today. Oh, workers of Jamaica, let united voices say, that time has come when we must decide to shout our rightful flames for white. Oh, workers of Jamaica, unite and fight. Workers are striving in Jamaica and abroad to end this policy of oppression and this policy of fraud. For justice, peace, we fight. He that might can never be right.
that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yes.
Might can never be.
You like the UNA song? You remember the UNA song?
You have plenty of
One, just give me one.
Africa awake in the morning.
Give me that one. Oh, Africa, wait.
Oh, Africa awake in the morning is a time. The Lord be the forsaken, the great and glorious land. From desert ancient glory, bring girls of God's store. Revive our ancient glory. Dum, 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 bum, bum, da. Africa awaken to hear the children talk. Africa awaken to the light of thine and the earth of traffic splendor, the land of God and earth. And then you have this Hippopora for old Jamaica, land of sunshine and climate serene. Our chants are known to all the world, and the flags and the hills will soon abur, soon unfurl. You live for old Jamaica, land of tropic splendor. There are many songs that have been thought of, there to. And then so the love for the land, the hope for the land, the hope for tomorrow, the hope for the mission. This is where the basic structure of patriotism goes from.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Time is kind of evading us now because it's getting a little dark, but it has been a wonderful experience sitting here with the Honorable Racing Matchers and, of course, Mr. Frank God, the Order of Distinction recipient. I have to come back and visit with him because, you know, there's much more for a younger generation to have. And as Mr. Matthews says, we need for the powers that be to make sure we cherish our heritage. We cherish the knowledge that is possessed by Mr. Frank Garden so our next generation can carry on. They teach the truth.
You see, you have a lot of yari.
A lot of yari.
So here, but I don't part.
Yeah.
Thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank God. It's a pleasure, sir, meeting here with you. I'm going to send a copy of this tape to Dr. Julius Garvey so that he can see what his old friend look like. You understand? And of course,
the fire.
And of course, this is the man of the hour, the Honorable, the Order of Distinction, Mr. Frank God. Thank you very, very, very much for watching.